And with that, I believe we are live. Hello, everyone. How are we doing tonight? Obviously, we are continuing our work on our custom Captain Fordo Phase 1 2003 Gendy Tartakovsky Trooper. This thing has undergone some dramatic transformation since last week, where we had our paper templates. Now we have a pretty solid base coat and base sculpt here. Good evening, Orlando. Dak Robotics. And Joshua, thanks so much for chiming in on the Insta. Yeah, we post content pretty regularly over there. If you're interested in more content from us, you can check us out on our Insta and all our other socials down below. Tonight, we are going to be doing detail painting on the Fordo. We're going to be doing the red of the visor outline, the rim and the jaw. And then we're also going to be adding some black paint to try and give it more of that comic book look in some of these areas. Really see where we can help that to shine. And to do that, I have picked up some Plat FX Smooth Satin. What is this color? This color is called... It does not say. Oh, Bloodline. Bloodline. There we go. It's called Bloodline. And I think that this is a really rich red. I think it's going to come out really, really good on our helmet here. So why don't we bust this open? And we'll kind of start to lay down a base layer, and in the meantime, we'll also start to do some other stuff. Got lots of stuff we can be working on tonight. Obviously, over here we have the aluminum buck that we pulled these templates from. And if you're curious about how we did that, you can check out our other live streams on this particular build. But for now, we're going to set this aside. We're going to pull out our mug of what is surely mostly Coke. And we're going to get to going. Let's lay down a pretty decent base layer on here. One of the things I love about having raised 2mm details like this is that I can simply choose to not paint the thin inner edge there. And that will help us achieve an even more, shall we say, clean look to our lines without having to do things like tape off for painting. It's not something I like to have to do if I can avoid it, to be perfectly frank. I think that kind of goes to back to when I used to work with my my grandfather on home repair and DIY jobs. Where possible, you don't lay down extra yada to get the job done. You don't tape off rooms to paint them. You really just kind of go. And you don't get paint on extra things, because you just don't. So, instead, we just get right up to the edge there, and smoothly paint in our red. Now, you'll note this is going on very, very bright for this initial coat, and that's okay, because like I said, we're going to be adding another coat at least to this, but we want it to go on as smooth as possible. We're trying to avoid, globs of this stuff. Intense brush strokes. We really want to try and be as even as we can with this. But I do think it's getting somewhere really, really good, really fast, which is cool. I have enjoyed the Plat FX. Hey, Joshua, glad you could join in. I have enjoyed the Plat FX paints so far. I really do think that they're pretty quality paints. However, I think that like many things, for a craft budget hobby, you should try your damnedest to get a hold of them at a discount, because I don't know if they're worth quite the full, what is it, $8 or $9 that they tend to charge at some places. I think they're worth like $5 at max. So bear that in mind as we work across. Now, one thing that's going to be really fun with this particular build is going to be, so we've got the fin up here, which I really like. I think the fin has really turned out. I actually wound up, this is completely solid. This is just 2 sheets of, I think, 8mm stuck together and crammed together. What's going on? Well, Yo-Yo Drew fan, we we're painting up some of the details on our custom Interp Captain Fordo bucket from the 2003 animated series, which I think has turned out really nice so far. It's very hyper stylized, and frankly, I'm loving it. What was I saying? I was saying something before this. Can't quite remember. Oh, the fin. The fin wound up just being 2 pieces of laminated 8mm foam. So it's very strong right here, and I really like that. But the template, very reasonably, just meets the curve of the dome. It doesn't actually go all the way down to the brim here, so we're going to have to sort of paint in that line. And I'm getting a little anxious about that, but, you know, we'll take it in stride. We really will. Now, notice I'm not super concerned. Just as I'm avoiding the tiny little lip edge there, I'm also not super concerned about getting on the inside there, because my plan is actually to take some black acrylic, and we're going to get down on the inside where it meets the visor to try and give it that suggestion of a comic cartoon line between the visor and the actual helmet. You know, a lot of this is, in many ways, trying to lean as hard as we can into that feeling that this is an object from a cartoon, not a real helmet. I've had several times through this process to make decisions where I'm actively, like, turning away from things that I would normally be doing were I to just do this as a realistic interpretation of a cartoon build. We're actually just trying to pop the cartoon straight into the 3D, that's a hard thing to do. I would say that the 2008 Clone Wars objectively tried to do it, but did something altogether a little different. And there's nothing wrong with that, it just is different. Whoops. Got a little red there. Ooh, and I got a little red there. That's okay, we'll probably go back in with a little bit of white acrylic, touch things up as we get closer to the end here. But for now, it's not really worth it, because we're probably going to wind up making small mistakes as we go. Orlando Schaefer, usually I get little bottles of acrylic paint in Joann's when they go on sale for less than $1. That's a great way to go. It really is. It really is. I mean, here's the thing. I think that acrylic paint follows sort of the Jose Cuervo model of pricing. What do I mean by this? Jose Cuervo is an obnoxiously cheap tequila. But it's a suspiciously good tequila. And to get a tequila that is better than Jose Cuervo, I would argue, you're going to wind up having to pay a solid 1.5 to 2 times price point. Or you can get Jose Cuervo. But the thing is, if you go up just a little bit from Jose Cuervo, you're not going to get something better. Usually you're either going to get something that's exactly the same, or is in fact slightly worse. So I think that acrylic paint sort of follows that model too, which is that there's really nice acrylic paint. But to get that, you're going to need to pay a serious premium, or you can get some of the lower brand paints are also quite nice, even if they're not top tier quality. You're just going to have to jump pretty high to hit that high tier quality. Let's see here. Try not to load up my brush too much. We're trying to get a nice even coating, like I said. Cape Cod girls ain't got no combs. Holloway, Holloway. They comb their hair with the codfish bones, and they're bound away for Australia. Heave up me bully, bully boys. Holloway, Holloway. Heave her up And don't you make a noise, and we're bound away for Australia. Let's see here. Here we go. Hey, Shadow Fox! Oh, see more clown buckets from you. I have a nagging suspicion you meant to say clone buckets, but I would also argue that a white bucket with just a bunch of red paint on it is, in fact, a clown bucket. So, you know, I'm with you on this. Thanks so much, Shadow Fox. Much love. No, I'm super happy with this because this is also just such a labor of love in terms of interpretation because I don't know if any of you poke your head in on my Patreon, but there's actually a Pepakura model that I did wind up unfolding of a Captain Fordo bucket, and it's not a bad interpretation. I just don't like it, which is such a thing for me. Arriving on time. Hey there, everybody. Glad to see we're getting so many people in. Have a nice swig. Let's keep painting. I have a nagging suspicion we're going to get sort of a first coat on this. I'm going to have to set it aside. We might have to work on something else for a minute. But like I was saying, I really like the way this interpretation is turning out. There's a lot of fun, different joins you can do when you're making your own templates that I'd say Pepakura isn't really good at. For instance, so I really wanted to make sure that the bottom piece here that sort of bends out bows back under and really disappears under here. So to do that, I actually just glued it straight to the back of the front piece in there. And that's just not something you do in Pepakura a whole lot for all sorts of reasons. But it's so fun to be able to make your own templates and to really go to town on this. And I hope that this series in particular on this particular bucket has given some of you the confidence to kind of go to town and just sort of enjoy the process. I won't lie, I'm now that I'm doing it, now that I'm in the thick of it, I kind of want to try and do his Phase 2 bucket as well. Just because that whole series was so hyper stylized, and his Phase 2 bucket is crazy. It kind of resembles the Captain Wolf buckets. The Captain Wolf or, God, there's another one that has the same thing going on. Captain Neo. And so it's the same sort of style, but of course it's in that 2D animated style, so it's also, the proportions are all over the place, and I love it. And that's the thing, is I think when you see something in terms of interpretation that's just so out there, you gotta kind of just embrace it as its own sort of thing. Okay, here we go. A little bit more paint. Oop, too much paint. Ruh-roh. Zoink Scoob. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Now we're working our way back up. Sorry. Try not to let this paint pool anywhere. The good news is, at least on the jaw piece here, the inner parts there are basically just going to be painted black or a dark gray, because they are essentially emulating a single line of whatchamacallit, like outline. There we go. I think that's turning out quite nice there. I've been eyeballing that Flex Seal can. I want to ask if you've ever used that on any helmets or props. I have. Oh, so this week has been crazy. It's been crazy, folks. I will wholeheartedly let you all in on the fact that I have been doing all of these things, doing these streams, doing a bunch of editing, and in the meantime, I have been trying to help self-plan an engagement party. Which, if any of you are married, will know that is a something. It is a something. So, quite recently, I finished up this Batman cowl. How on screen is that? Hang on. Oh, that's really on screen. So this Batman cowl turned out great. I love it. The texture is great. I really like the way the musculature is able to pop out, even though it's just foam. You know, you got... This is perhaps a little more intense than is necessary, but I do like the way it looks. And because it's solid black, it doesn't come off as being too intense. But I'm really in love with the way this has turned out, and I'm in the middle of editing a video for this. But this is actually sealed with a single coat of Flex Seal. I didn't wind up using any Mod Podge or anything. I didn't wind up using any base Plastidip for this. Well, that's not true. I did Plastidip it a little bit just to highlight some imperfections, but that was more for that than for sealant. And then it was just one really heavy coat of Flex Seal. Let's see, how close can I get here? You can kind of see there's a texture to it that I really just love for this sort of pseudo-leather type cowl. And I will say, it dries incredibly fast. Like, I was holding it still. And as I was holding it and trying to keep coating it, I could feel my gloved hand starting to stick to the inside of it. And that was a little disconcerting, I won't lie. But it's extremely powerful stuff. Plaid FX to dry. I've only used it on like 2 props, and I won't lie. While I was making them, I was in a flurry of creative activities, so I was not clocking exactly how long it took each coat to dry, because I was essentially putting paint on like 8 to 10 different things at once. So I was flying, and you know, when you're painting that many things, usually by the time you've finished one round of whatever it is you're doing, you're ready to do the next one, just because there's truly so many things to be painting. One thing that is going to be a little bit rough on this is I chose, just for ease of use, to not wind up even coating the thin here. And I'm hoping that after 2, maybe 3 coats, this just evens out in terms of color. I know base coat has a huge impact on most acrylic, but I think this is actually going to be a little better. Let's see here. You have a clear can that you want to try out, and that's why we have a clear can of Flex Seal. So Flex Seal is a really intense, very industrial product. Part of the reason it leaves that texture is because it dries so quickly, you know. So it's not necessarily designed to go on evenly, and so I'm not really sure how great of a clear coat it'll leave. It'll probably leave quite a bit of texture, but in the clear coat, so I'm not really sure how well that'll turn out. I would highly recommend, more so than I recommend with even just your average spray paint, I'd highly recommend testing out heavier products like plastic or rubber sealants, just because, boy oh boy, it can go in many different ways, can't it? I have definitely ruined props with a material I just wasn't ready for, and that is always super rough. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Fordo. That looks so cool. And I just love this. My fiance and I were having a really interesting discussion about paint jobs quite recently, because she was of the opinion that, you know, a really clean paint job really speaks more to the build and whatnot. And I was like, I think it really has to do with what, not just what your desired end result is, but more so than that. Also, what does the source material you're pulling from have to say on that? For instance, we recently completed that Scorch helmet from Republic Commando. And while, you know, there is something to be said about, you know, there are very clean instances of the Commando bucket from, like, Battlefront and whatnot, Scorch's helmet especially is at no point clean. He always kind of looks like he's just blasted his face off. And so you kind of have to embrace that, at least for that build. And that's just something to consider when you're cosplaying and when you're making replica art in general. There we go. Oh, now try to make a very clean line on this. Here we go. Let's see. Shadow Fox Cosplays. While I'm working on my clone helmet, I'm also working on fixing my weathered, rusty, ancient Sith lightsaber, aptly named Fractured Hope. Well, that just sounds super cool. That's amazing. How dare you have such a cool Star Wars prop? Actually, I had a really fun conversation with my best man the other day, actually, about how Star Wars suffers, I think, from expanded universe fatigue, which is, while there are really cool things in the movies, I would argue that the coolest parts of Star Wars are not on the screen, and that might just be a problem. You know, like, some of the coolest stuff to come out of the sequels were, like, the novels that came out with the sequels. And that might be a problem, at least in terms of maintaining a franchise. Oh, man. Here we go. Okay. I will say, it's definitely finishing off very satin. Oh, wow, that main part is already pretty dry. That's really nice. I won't lie. Oh, I think this opposite side might actually also be pretty dry already. Oh, okay, so this stuff is drying pretty quickly and finishing quite evenly, I'll say. I think we're going to wind up with a really strong result here. I don't know. Red is one of those things. I find that red and purple, probably by being an extension of red and purple have a nasty tendency to coat a little funny when we're talking about brush-on paints. So I think we're just fighting that today more than anything. Let's see. Star Wars suffers from the sequel trilogy films, in my opinion. I think that's fair. I've had a really interesting discussion with some people about this. So, in addition to all the other things that I do, I don't have the time to do edits, but I am very passionate about fan edits of films. And there's a dude, Hal, I think it's Hal 9000. It's a slight rework of The Force Awakens that I personally love because it's just such a good interpretation. Like, they do some small edits that I really love. Like, there's a... So, when Starkiller Base, you know, Big Boy Death Star is charging, or is shooting in the middle of the film, they move that to the end of the film. So you feel like it's more like the first film where it's like, oh, we gotta stop the Death Star from shooting all the things. And then they blow it up, but they don't blow it up in time to prevent it from shooting. And so you get this weird twist on A New Hope where instead of the rebels showing up and saving the day, they're just like a little bit too late. And suddenly you get this sense that, you know, maybe you're watching something a little bit grimmer where there's a little more deadly consequences if you're not careful. And I really like that idea. It's so funny. I'll talk at length about this, but I think the sequel trilogy is not great, but I also think it's like so close to being good. Which sounds mean, but I think it's pretty much where I'm at. Let's see. Have you gone through Betty Manos having armored weather would make sense? Yeah, absolutely. Armor weathered, yep. We're working on 2 helmets, watching the live stream. Hey! Mandalorian helmet. The other's a Viking. You were talking about that Viking Mandalorian helmet a while ago. Do you have a page where I can see that? Because I'm a little curious now. You know what? Actually, I'm not going to use this brush for this. I'm going to dip that in some water and just leave that to sit. I am actually going to grab a slightly finer brush. I think this brush will do. And we are going to freehand this line between here and here. Now we're going to start in the middle and work our way out because danger, Will Robinson. There we go. There we go. Yep. Just like that. And we're just adding that red line across here, because it would be more appropriate to an actual Phase 2 trooper to just have the red on the fin, but the Gendy cartoon definitely extends at least the red line all the way down. It's very unclear whether the fin does or does not, but the red line definitely always meets all the way at the bottom there. There we go. Oh. Nope, I think we got it. There we go, yep. Ooh, that was close. Here we go. Just try to even that paint out a little bit. I think this is in a really good place already, despite only being one coat deep on that there. Hey. Oh, thank you, Joshua. Like I said, I'd love to see it. I don't know. I think you all can kind of see already how the cartoon sort of is informing the shape and the coloration here. Really trying to go for something clean, despite we're going for a lot of hand painting. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm also keeping a camera running so that we can do perhaps a more in-depth build guide when we're done with this, because I would like other people to have the opportunity to make one of these. So let's see here. Let's grab our big brush again. It's got a little bit of water on it, but that's okay. That's okay. Remember, our boy Bob Ross taught us a thin paint will always stick to a thick paint. So a little bit of water on our brush, it's not the end of the world. So let's go back to where it all started, and we'll start right back over here. Just add another whole coat. Being pretty generous with that. Unlike the first one, which we were just trying to make sure we get in paint all the way down into all the grooves, now we're trying to go for a nice, even second coat. Try and make that color as rich and as vibrant as possible. There we go. Suppose as I'm just coating, this is as good a time as any to say, hey, I've got not only a Patreon, but also an Etsy store, so if you like what you see, I do sell my builds. I also sell templates, and of course I do extra bonus Patreon releases, as well as release a lot of templates early to my Patreon. So if you're interested at all, if you like the channel, consider becoming a patron. Does so dearly help what we do, but in the meantime, let's keep a painting. Here we go. I wanna be in the cavalry, they send me off to war. I want a good steed under me like my forefathers before. I want a good mount when the bugle sounds and I hear the cannons roar. I wanna be in the cavalry if they send me off to war. I want a horse and a volunteer force that's riding forth at dawn. Please save for me some gallantry that'll echo when I'm gone. I beg of you, Sarge, let me lead the charge where the battle lines are drawn. Let me at least leave a good hoofbeat they'll remember loud and long. I'd not a good foot soldier make, I'd be sour and slow at march. I'd be sick on a navy ship and the sea would leave me parched. But I'll be first in line if you let me ride, by God you'll see my starch. Look back for the heath of the laurel wreath underneath that victory arch. I wanna be in the cavalry if they send me off to war. I want a good steed under me like my forefathers before. I want a good mount when the bugle sounds and I hear the cannons roar. I wanna be in the cavalry if they send me off to war. Oh shoot. Sorry, I got a little bit of red paint on the white there. Always trying to avoid it where possible. Sorry, it's so funny because like I really want to show you. The following song is sponsored by foamarmory. Yeah. Thank you very much. If ever I would leave you, it wouldn't be in summer. Seeing you in summer, I never would go. Your hair streaked with sunlight, your lips red as flame, your face with a luster that puts gold to shame. But if I'd ever leave you, how could it be in autumn? How I'd leave in autumn, I never would know. Your hair streaked with sunlight. No, wait. No, I've seen how you sparkle when the fall nips the air. I'd know you in autumn, and I must be there. And could I leave you running barely through the snow? Or on a wintry evening when you catch the fire's glow? If ever I would leave you, how could it be in springtime, knowing how in spring I'm bewitched by you so? Oh no, not in springtime, summer, winter, or fall. No, never could I leave you at all. Let's see here. Okay, I'm really liking where the faceplate is getting in terms of the richness of this red. I think that that's way better than it was initially, at least. This top piece, I think what we're going to do is We're going to do an extra coat right along the center here. Pretty liberal, their color. Just because it's so much darker than the rest of it. Because I just got no white paint on the top of that there. I'm okay if the back remains a little bit dark still, just because like shading is a thing and whatnot. But I really want the top to try to even out with the rest of this thing. So we're gonna try and give it a good honest coat here. There we go. And I think in the meantime we might actually set this aside for a moment. See if there's something we can do here. I have been told that, Joshua. I very much appreciate that. But no, I've been told I've got an old soul before. I'm a big fan of barbershop. I'm a big fan of Broadway. What you gonna do, right? What you gonna do? So let's see. I don't know. We could do some prep work on another build. So in addition to this build over here, I have actually been working on a Phase 1 clone trooper, like my clone trooper templates, just sort of in the background, because I'd like to do a pretty decent build guide for that as well. So I suppose while we're waiting for that to dry a little bit, why don't we bust out some pieces to detail. Detailing is always an important part of the process. So for this piece in particular, this is on the back plate of the Phase 1 Trooper helmet. And these guys are going to be glued here and here, like that. And then there's going to be a slight raise on the inside where we'll take some hot glue and we'll just run that in there. And so sort of as we're letting the hot glue warm up, as well as, super gluing some stuff down. That should probably give us enough time to do at least one more red coat on this thing before we probably bid adieu for the night. See, I'm I'm not sanding anything, so I think I can just, there we go. Doop-a-doop. Put that on high. We'll set that there. Let's get some super glue. Chill out. Think you're gonna have a drink along with me? Hey! Here we go. Let's see here. I don't know. I used to use a lot of Loctite, but I've recently been turned on to Gorilla's gel super glue. And I've been liking it a lot more. I don't know. I think it bonds a little quicker. And there's also just the added bonus of there's definitely more glue in here than really any of the Loctite. I should really get into like industrial strength super glue, frankly. Like I use enough of it. I should get into like refillables and like big bottles of glue. Like I think it's CYA glue. But honestly, I've just not had the time to figure that out, you know? That's a hard thing sometimes in this hobby is, you know, there's ways for you to get by on things cheaper, better, etc. And sometimes you just don't have any time for that, and you just kind of keep doing the methods that you've been doing that are working. And that's real. That's real. There's no one way to craft, but I do wish sometimes I had a little bit more time to really work out some of the, some of the finer details. Like my website. Like I do have a website. You'd be hard pressed to find it, just because of how under construction it is. But I do think it's technically published, and that's just hard because I wanna finish that. But also like I have a video to put out, and I have commissions to do, and also life is real. Like I said, engage them and party. So, you know. All of this to say that many balls in the air, even as I am trying to get so many different things done. Let's see, how's this doing? Oop, still not quite hot enough. That's okay. Let's just check. I'm just going to check some fit on some parts because this is eventually going to line up like that, I believe. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know. I think because we've done a Fordo animated trooper, what we're probably going to do is we're going to take the phase 1, do probably a blue visor, and make it a classic, like, heavy trooper. And we'll make it look really gnarly. Really dig in on that. Because, come on. How you not going to dig in on that? Let's see here. Give me glue. I really like this hot glue gun. It does actually warm up pretty quickly. I'm just terribly impatient. Let's check in on our helmet. Yep, just as I thought. It's getting really close to being dry on that coat already. You can see there's still a little bit of glossiness at the top here. But definitely on the cheeks here, it's already pretty much dry. How cool. I'm really quite a big fan of this color too. I was worried it wasn't going to be vibrant enough, but now I really do feel like I'm eating my words. I think this looks really cool. Now I am seeing something. I think there's a little piece of something. Yeah, there's a little piece of something caught in the top there. We're going to take a little water, smooth that back down. I don't know. These are the perks of working in a house with animals. Occasionally there's just stuff, and there's not a whole lot to be done about that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you doing? Sorry, I also just rewatched the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and boy oh boy if I don't want to try and find something from there to make. Alright, let's go ahead and we're just going to take some hot glue, dip this right into the grooves here. Super simple. Not difficult at all to do. I don't have any compressed air. That's the real shame. So it'll just be going. If you're not afraid of leaving some things to dry, I will say in the past I've used ice water. I've just dunked parts in ice water. because, you know, there's really nothing stopping you. The foam's pretty impervious to water, and it's not like you're gonna immediately spray paint it if that's the route you're going. Now, instead, you just kind of get a subtle angle here, and that's really what we're going for. Let's just drop a little bit more hot glue on that bottom edge. And with the power of the cause gods, we shall hold this open for just a second. Just a second while we get this good and dry as we wait for our Captain Fordo bucket. It's looking really pretty. It's pretty good. There we go. Now you can really see the difference here, which is that, you know, I have undercut this one, but I have opened up the edges on this one. And you can see where my angled cuts now make these edges flush, so that when we glue everything together, it'll really line up in a meaningful way. I think that's going to look really pretty. Terribly pretty. Let's do the other one real quick. Oh, shine on me in the morning. Shine on me. Will the light in the lighthouse shine on me? Shine on me in the evening. Shine on me. I wonder if the lighthouse will shine on me. Here we go. 2 detailed parts while we wait for other things. Never be afraid to let your downtime be work time. I mean, like, leave yourself downtime, but, like, also be efficient. Let's see here. Oh, that water is escaping. Ack. Here we go. Oh, doesn't want to even out right now. That's okay. We can definitely keep adding to the cheek piece a little bit here. And maybe try to clean up that edge that we made. It goes up to the top. There we go. New Loki show is actually pretty good. Yeah, wow. I've heard good things, but now I'm really gonna have to catch up. Like I said, I've been busy. But yeah, no, I definitely, like, I've got Disney Plus. Obviously, I've been watching the vintage Star Wars stuff. I've got Disney Plus. I tell you, I actually used to have the Star Wars micro series. I used to have it on VHS, not because I bought it on VHS, but because I recorded it on VHS. I tell you, I really like this stuff. Let's see here. Try to just even that out. Even that out. There we go. Yeah, that's looking quite good. Obviously, it is an option if you wished to paint, or excuse me, tape this off and spray paint this. That is totally acceptable. I just thought we were going to get some really nice results from this, and frankly, I think we are. Plus, I don't know, I think one of the things I like about foam is that there is, like, a little bit of charm to the subtle variation in texture. Because if I wanted a perfect cartoon piece, I might just 3D print it rather than go through all the trouble to make it myself. But I actually want something that I've made that has that charm. Look at that. Look at that. There we go. Oh yeah, that is bright. It is vibrant. And I feel good about it. Feel good about this color. Yeah, I noticed SKS Props was making a bunch of stuff from the new Loki show. So I had to imagine there was at least something to it. He doesn't tend to make things from properties that he's not enjoying at least a little bit. I think we're all a little bit that way. Like, I've been asked to make things before where I'm just like, I don't know, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like I would not enjoy even working on it. Don't know if I can bring myself to do it. And then they're like, but I've got $500, and you're like, well, that might do it. Speaking of which, well, I will freely admit not everything I do is like $500. If you are still looking for something commissioned over the summer, I still have a couple slots open. So please feel free to even message me if you're just looking for pricing, because I am totally available to give quotes to people. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. There we go. Nice, even red. Mega Man. Mega Man X. Mega Man Red. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Now I've got the faceplate pretty much blocked out in the color there. I'm liking it. You're wearing your Gar Saxon 4/6 Clone Wars armor on the camera suit. Ooh, that's cool. Are you? I don't know. Shadow Fox, do you have like a TikTok or a YouTube, or are you going to be in like a short film? Because I know a lot of cosplayers who dive in on that kind of stuff, and let's be honest, it's cool. It's super cool. There are definitely like a handful of Star Wars fan films that I personally consider canon, and that's just for me. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? It's kind of like how even when I consider like going through and watching like all the Star Wars films, I consider the Battle of Coruscant from the 2003 Clone Wars pretty much required watching, because it like actually explains things from Revenge of the Sith. Like, for instance, the fact that Grievous is coughing in Revenge of the Sith is explained in that cartoon, and really not anywhere else. Like, I think in the 2008 Clone Wars, he just kind of is coughing all the time. Like, they just adopt that affect as like, we don't need to explain it. He's like a bad cyborg man. He's got bad bones, bad lungs. Whereas, like, in 2003, they were like, nah, Mace Windu, like, crushed General Grievous. That's why he coughs. And isn't that just, like, objectively kind of cooler? You're on YouTube. I didn't know that. Oh, that's super cool. That's super cool. Yeah, no, I also am of the opinion that, like, if you feel the desire, record yourself making stuff. It's fun to see it. It's fun to critique your own process. But it's even more fun to see how people just kind of react. Because, people are generally pretty positive. I've only experienced, like, a handful of what I would call, like, truly negative interactions in the cosplay community. I will always bring this up, which is that I think that, by and large, the cosplay community is a terribly wholesome group of people. With just, like, a few crazy outliers at the very fringes of the community who are occasionally very loud. The community tends to shout them down. And rightly so. Okay, let's see. Let's make sure we're not neglecting the very back of the fin here. We don't want to miss anything. I won't lie. One thing I will even go so far as to self-critique myself here on this build. One thing I did that I think maybe even may have been too much, I layered... Uh-oh, hang on. Gotta even this line out on the back here. There's a little bit of wood in the sculpt. Here we go. There we go. Sorry. So I actually went ahead and layered some pieces on the back here that I think maybe I should have just etched in, like this rectangle on the circle. I think I should have just etched that because I like the way the etching looks for the blocks here and for the circle and even for the band at the back here. And I think that really helps define it as like a cartoon and not like a real helmet, whereas I think I went a little too realistic right here. Little too detailed. But well. Hindsight is 20/20. Will you ever make a Death Trooper helmet from Rogue One? I tell you, I'm working on a template for a Death Trooper helmet right now because it's been highly requested, actually. Way more than I thought was going to be the case. Because I would have thought that that's not necessarily the most popular one, but people are really interested in that. So I'm at least working on the template. I might wind up making it. Let's see. The armor's already done. I just need to get the $30 Hasbro Darksaber. Ooh, Shadow Fox. I completely respect if you're getting the Hasbro Darksaber. But I will say that if you are interested at all, I think I might have a template, at least for the handle, if you're looking to make something. So hit me up if you're curious. Not like as a commission, like as a one maker to another. Here we go. Well, this is coming along very, very nicely. I don't want to touch the top again, because the last time I touched the top, I had to add a bunch of water to smooth it back out, and now it's taking forever to dry on top. So we're going to get this out of here again. We're going to get this out of here. Let's see. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions about what we've been doing so far, about what's going on? Otherwise, I might just keep doing some undercuts or what have you from the Phase 1 Clone Trooper. It's been a very positive live stream, I'd say, so far. Here we go. Let's see. So here are two more pieces from the Phase 1 Clone Trooper. I really like a lot of what's going on with these guys, frankly. But I think that the coolest thing about them, if I'm being honest, are these undercuts here at the front, which create the cheek recesses. It's sort of like a bow tie shape there, but when you actually bend it together, it becomes that cheek recess. I love the clone cheek recesses. They're some of my favorite things. It's actually one of the things that's super weird about this Captain Fordo, because the 2D animation really doesn't show off there really being any cheek recess. So I had to kind of smooth over a lot of those shapes. But like for the Clone Commando, you really got some of those gnarly details, really intense chiseled cheeks, and I love that. Let's see. Will do, friend. And yeah, I can't really afford those stupidly expensive custom metal Darksabers, so either templates for one or the toy by Hasbro will do. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Cosplay in many ways is, it's the poor man's sport filled with super expensive options, right? And that's just something to navigate. But yeah, no, I can definitely check back in my logs. I'd love to help out if I can. What got you started on cosplay? So there is a channel on YouTube. It is not a cosplay channel. It is called Indie Mogul. Indie Mogul is a channel about making movies yourself, and sort of demystifying the process for us plebs, especially if you're looking to make things on a home budget. And they had a series on their channel called BFX, and it was their Backyard Effects series. It was a super cool show. It was all about making all sorts of fairly elaborate effects on a budget. and I was super into it at the time. And then I stumbled upon one video of theirs that was how to make sci-fi armor from foam floor mats. And at the time, this was just about the time people were kind of like the mainstream knowledge that you could use foam floor mats as cosplay was starting to take hold. And I really kind of ran with it. A foam armory has actually been a thing for me for about 9 years now. And around that time was when I started to really kind of get into it and kind of start to understand what I could do with it. And I was super into it at the time. And then I went to college. But yeah, so that's kind of where I got started, because I basically just sort of made my own thing because I was looking to make something fun and cool that would be fun at parties and whatnot. And I put LEDs in it and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And I was just kind of like, and then I discovered Pepakura, and that some people used foam for Pepakura, and I was like, oh, I'll never do that. And then one Halloween, I was like, I'll do an Iron Man helmet, and I did that, and I really liked doing that, and I kind of continued down that rabbit hole, getting more insight and developing some techniques and stuff. And then I went to college and I got a degree in costuming and performance in theater, and that exposed me to a lot of other costuming techniques. So I've had exposure to like true pattern draping and things like that, which have also helped inform my work. What methods can I use to make colored visors? Orlando Schaefer asks. This is a really great question. So in many ways, I do not tend to make a lot of visors. I tend to use visors. To wit, if we had gotten far enough tonight, I had waiting in the wings. This guy is just a tinted face shield. You can buy them on Amazon for, I think, like $17. And it is a little expensive, but it's not that expensive considering all the options out there. But the visibility is great. The tint is quite dark. And I will say, and I'll just kind of demo on the side here, it is thin enough to be cut with like a heavy pair of shears, which is great because it means you don't need a lot of really expensive tools to cut this stuff, which is, I think, one of the most prohibitive things about this stuff. Also, if you get pure clear tinted visors, you can dye them using liquid dye, like RIT dye, in hot water. If you dip them multiple times over. So if you're looking for a specific color, you can achieve it that way too. You get a big 5-gallon bucket of like boiling water. I think Punished Props did a really good video on doing that, but they also vacuum formed their own visors. Yeah, sometimes you can kind of get somewhere in between, where you're getting the color, but maybe not the shape, or you're getting the shape, maybe not the color. There's a lot of wipe-on tints too. Tristan Maker is a YouTuber that I've worked with in the past, and he has definitely used the stick-on tint to great effect. He's getting really good at it, frankly. He just put together his Mando Beskar, which I never released a tutorial for mine because, I won't lie, by the time I was done with mine, I kind of wanted to be done with it. But he just released his tutorial on that. I think his original bucket tutorial definitely outlined how he tinted his visor. Let's see. He was going to make an indie movie at the time, too. And yes, they praised the Backyard Budget Way. Yes. Literally, the only other guys that have ever mentioned Indie Mogul that I know. It's amazing. Yeah, no, Indie Mogul rocks. And they recently started putting out content again. I mean, when I say recently, but I think as recently as either last year or the year before. Because they kind of went on like a hiatus, as a lot of the guys who were behind the channel actually like got industry jobs, as you do, as you go from backyard budget to like big boy budget. I too someday wish to go to big boy budget. As much as I do love Foam Armory, I think it would be really cool to work for a bigger shop. Not that I'm begging, but like if anybody does work at a bigger shop, Jaden. It's one of those things where like you go out, you get experience, and you come back and you say, there's some more there. There's lots that you can do. Okay, I think that's finally dry enough. Sweet. Let's see if we can get. I know it's like 7:58, but let's see if we can get, say, one more coat at least on the up and up here. Let's kind of go pretty heavy with it, like I said again, just because we want to try and even this out with the visor and the parts that have some white on them as well. Just try and get a really rich, vibrant red on here. Look at that. Oh, I really like this color. I won't lie, I wasn't convinced I was going to love this color as much as I do. It looks really good. Let's try to fill in what we did before. Make sure it's nice and even. I don't like the way this left-hand edge looks. I think we're going to need to go in and really make sure that that's nice and straight and even. Because otherwise, what are we doing here, right? There we go, that's a little better. And we'll get the sides as well. There we go. Sorry to go on those tangents, but I will say I always love dropping a little background knowledge on myself and, on the craft and, other people too. Because I think some crafters really try to insulate themselves a little bit. But I think there's a lot to be learned from really everybody in the community. To wit, we just sent off our half of our collaboration with Diabolical Props to David Carlisle off where he is, and I'm really excited to receive my end of that as well, because we're gonna be painting up some stuff that each of us have made, and that's not something you get to do every day, and it's something kind of fun that you only get to do. Just because two guys said, hey, let's do a thing. And ain't that just beautiful? Ain't it just? Let's see here. There we go. Round out this by making sure that we get a good coat on the side and that we didn't miss anything on the back. There we go. Oh, I really like that. I don't know. Something about the way the white does actually lend kind of a fun weight to the top. I don't know. That's not something I thought we were going to get, but I like it? Question mark? This looks great. Oh, Orlando Shaper, that is rough, my dude. No, those Master Chief templates are a bear, but I think we were able to simplify a lot of them. So for those of you who don't know, we periodically put out full suits of templates. They're just free, out and about. You can find them on our channel here. But Orlando is undertaking the Master Chief templates and modifying them slightly for cardboard. And we do wish him well, because that is a hell of a build. It's just kind of a big build. So I think we simplified a lot of it. I think you're going to enjoy the process, hopefully. I think we've gotten this to a really fun place. We didn't get the black on like I thought we might be able to, but I do like the way this color looks. And you know what? God King Fordo forever, right? With that, I want to thank everybody who has come out to the stream. This has been a hell of a time. As always, huge shout out to my patrons. They really help make our world go round. If you yourself like this content, you can become a patron for as little as $3 a month. And you get your names in these videos. I shout you out. To wit, we have 9 active patrons, and we love them. Sam, Suda Props, Benjamin Stanley, Laura, Ruben, Matt G, Pandulce, K-Snake, and of course, Austin of AJ Plays Piano. We love y'all. Thank you so much. And we love you all for having watched the stream. This has been great. This has been a really good stream. And frankly, this is something I have wanted since I was a little kid. So thanks for coming with me on this journey. As always, I have been Jaden, here for Foam Armory. Take care.